Hey guys, this is Parker here, back with part 4 of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles 2 Resolve. I guess we'll just be talking with Miss Green right now. Good morning. Hello, I'm Ryosuke Naruhodo from Empire Japan. Oh no, what was it your knife that? Are you the man who... No, I'm a liar. And I'm Susato Megatobo, pleased to meet you. Oh no, was it your knife then? Are you the one? No, I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you were getting consciousness. I wanted to come to give you our best wishes. Best wishes for me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I definitely want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know! All you need to do is practice. It's no wonder I'll stand in the back, no! I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, jolly gee, gosh, this young woman sees me bent over backwards to put herself down. Oh god. Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened for her perspective, I suppose. About the incident. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day and the fog was so thick I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. From the shock. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? While I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madame. Spectacularly, by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, is Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman at a place we're supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming around sees that made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have gained consciousness. It was selfish of me. No. Oh no. We're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are. With that kind of attitude, maybe your surname should be blue, not green. About yourself? So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no, I couldn't possibly Kate. I'm a fledgling artist at best. You know, everyone can be an artist if they just like draw at least one line. I mean, I'm a student of art really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Then you are an artist. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here, and Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town center. Does that matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less solid breeze part of town by comparison, dealt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means, I suppose Soseki-san does with the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine arts student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She's suddenly clouded up. Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh, yes, of course, he won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Alright, guess we're getting out of here. Why is there a rat here? Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruhodo! An enormous mouse! Vermin in a hostel? That doesn't seem the best. Oops, something just dropped from my table, but I think it's alright. But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we could say that's down to the excellence of this facility if that's what you're thinking. I don't know. I kind of just want to leave. I don't know. Should I examine this? Oh yes, this picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as the screen, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? I guess there's fellow artists who just met each other at the academy. My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know he had a sense of manners at the heart. I mean, he had a ring in his ring finger. And his left ring finger, so... Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of. Is there a Mr. Narrow-Fodder here? Mr. Narrow-Fodder? Narrow-Fodder now? Well, if we're looking for Naruhodo, the liar, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Narrow-Fodder, good, this is for you. This message from Mr. Saucy Natsume? Mr. Natsume sent a message to me? But why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly, what's going on? What's this Scotland constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Arg! What are you waiting for? Let me see that! Oh. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? He says. Have you not seen this note? No, how could I have? You just took it from me. It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no else. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab. Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodging so he did. That'll be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here to know, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll hail a fiacre at once. I botched that that word. It was only yesterday that Soseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was worse than we thought. Dun dun dun! Oh my god, it's that Shakespeare dude from the previous game! Oh my, the gentleman's deceased without question. He's dead. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why? Why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court yesterday. I was fighting home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Waffle, worm, without wiggle. I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Arrgh! Not the horrible Herlock shows! Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself the door! Never invited you! Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'd be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Arrgh! Here they are already, the busybodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson, what a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is the result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene, don't go touching anything. Or good morning to you too, Sunshine. Oh my god, I guess we'll examine. Oi, said hands up, you're gonna mess up a crime scene. Oh, no, I just want to look, that's all. No chance, I know your kind. You must have just by looking at it. Ugh, someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Alright, so it's like, I better talk to the inspector first, try to curry some favor. What a terrible thing to happen. It's only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident of payment outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences! So the victim lived here on the ground floor, and your room is just 1 story up, isn't it? Yes, right. In a way, we're neighbors, I suppose. So did you know the victim? Were you friends? What's the matter with Soseki-san now? It was an incident of question, wasn't it? Why is he so shaken by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger, but did he ever invite me to his room? No, never! At my honor, I swear it! What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you never asked though, aren't you, Mrs. Naruhodo? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why some were asking you to come. You're that inspector over there! Alright. So, Inspector, what's the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Shakespeare. He was the lodger here. So you could probably tell he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss, as happens. Or just dead. Mr. Shakespeare. That sounds so familiar. It was the landlord, or Mr. Gardev, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, had found him. The fellow didn't rise at his usual hours, so Gardev got worried and kicked the door down. But doesn't Mr. Gardev have a bad leg? Ah, yeah, you're right there. It was the jittery Japanese hunchback over there who actually did the kicking. Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. He'd been done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. So what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't he have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it because the fellow looks odd or anything, or they act suspicious, but I thought it would be prudent to take a statement for the cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear, Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? But he kicked down the door and went into the crime scene. Poor man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fellow's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector allowed it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch the body. I don't know. I don't really think there's anything. Ooh, Robin Williams. Yeah, I don't really think there's... Okay, what about here? Let's just explore everywhere. Is Iris not here? No. Because I kind of wanted Iris to talk to Gregson so we could investigate the crime scene. Iris? That's incredible concentration, that is. I find it quite remarkable how she can focus on so many different things at once. Perhaps I should try drinking more herbal tea. The blender from the right would be good for you, Bruno. Oh, Iris? This girl's destined for great things, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know, like when you concentrate on one thing, like everything just like fades out. It's my favorite one. In fact, it's high time for afternoon tea. Wait there. I'll fetch a special blend I prepared for today. Oh, Iris, you do love your tea, don't you? She looks so happy at the prospect. And after you drunk it, I'll collect some experimental data, if that's alright. Just what is she about to make me drink? And she's back to work. Okay. We'll just leave Iris alone with her work. Let's go here. I know some rovers occupied his bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run out of the hospital. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so he or she is probably running around the hospital then. Oh dear, how worrying. What's worrying is why they haven't discharged their patient yet. What? Well, pretty sure there's nothing here either. Yeah, are we? I'm pretty... Oh, wait, I didn't look around the room. Whoops, I didn't look here. Mr. Scholes, what are you doing? Ha! You need only observe to know it, my dear fellow, investigating naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam. Patience. We've not been in this room 5 minutes. So far, I've managed to deduce this is what actually happened. My goodness. But, is that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there's a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Ah! Ah! Mr. Natsuma's wrong. Is something that Mr. Sholmes says significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forget I was here. My second conclusion is that there was a poison in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. Nonsense! Adopt! Alright, Mr. Natsume, why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? No, please, pretend I'm not here! Invisible, inevitable, suitable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes, spare no detail. But of course, let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts, not 5 acts. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions, Mr. Sholmes, in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time? So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Herlock shows his logic and reasoning spectacular, Act 1. Okay. I just went around investigating in other places for nothing. Cause of death. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this dense consulate room last night. A foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you'll observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Indubitably. Why is the soap set so purposely upon the dish? Set so purposely upon the dish, like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. So Seki-san, why are you looking over here? It appears that the young man's appetite was undoing. Taking up arms to deform his cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But let this foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. The soap and the latter about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death is clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. No, don't eat candle wax! Conclusion. Poisoning from soap ingestion. I think it's sort of tea, but... oh god. Topic 2. Suicide or murder? The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that deaths occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion, such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the soul key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soul, for once wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We could take comfort only in the fact that soul is well cleansed on the way to the hereafter. Conclusion. No possible perpetrator present. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You are disposed to identify just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing. How extraordinary! In truth, I have tried to live soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, some time ago now, my postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and split the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has some unpleasant taste that leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Please don't eat soap, you guys. Please don't. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? It's Mr. Natsume. Ah! I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out of the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' deductions touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense! Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deductions may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it at an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Alright then, see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the keywords of Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly change them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtain rise for Herlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1! Okay, let's go. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies the man was eating something or about to eat something. Oh damn, an airplane passing by, alright. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there not be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Okay, this is the only kind of angle that we could look at. Oh, the other piece of soap. What? Look, there's more soap on the floor here. Mr. Sholmes, you must really have left the stuff. Let's not just jump to the conclusions, Mr. Naruhodo. Look closely at the soap. It's not eaten. Do you see that it will fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How could that be? I think that there are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Oh my god. I guess I'll just present the other piece of soap, but oh boy, the controls are like not letting me go there. Could it be that man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half with the soap on the table ensured the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious really, for no dust of hunger could drive any man to attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruto, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For a lot of this foul soap. Oh, okay. Maybe it was sort of tea. Mr. Sholme is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap alone is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. But there are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? There's a freaking teacup over there. Yes, a western vessel for the serving of infusions of dried tea leaves. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruto, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim was eating soap when he died. However, there's significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Alright, guess they're presenting this. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, custom in the vessel of choice of practicing poisons over the countless of centuries, and it appeared that the victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room, which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Cross that out. Poison in the tea. Salt. Continuing on. Okay. There's something remarkable about that, but it's Mr. Arasuma's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholme suggested there's more to his deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Alright. The other teacup. He's holding the other teacup. It's a teacup! And it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the cup from which Mr. Shansu was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything he does up to now is turned on his head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. He wasn't alone. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. Alright.
Take that!
Did the man dine and die alone? Does this other teacup suggest the answer? Yes, there are two teacups in this room all along. Ah, in other words, this is a strong indication that the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, you can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in the room last night taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly unbelievable, unjustly unreasonable. To draw a conclusion, such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. Okay. Indeed. Oh, the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but you cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruto. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. At first glance, it seems that the only things in the room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. The titles read The Picture of Monsieur Lecoq. Oh boy. Canterbury Yearnings and A Meal for Gabrielle. Wait, I'm sure I heard those titles before. Didn't the freaking landlord have those books? It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mrs. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Mrs. Green was stabbed. So Seki-san had just been a bookshop bought them, that's right. And now these 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims never to have been here before. What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Oh boy. Alright, guess we're presenting this. Indeed, what reveals the answer course is the pile of familiar books. Quite so, it is no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at the second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence. In that case, you'll be able to bring the same 3 titles to your own room, will you not? This very moment. No, never, non-negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have bought the books here on the evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you've only bought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Oh my god, the poses here. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluding at the Old Bailey. In short, there's only one possible conclusion. The victim died in his room last night as the result of poisoning. And that same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Thus concludes the final act of Herlock Sholmes' great deduction. Cross that out. Soseki Natsume at the scene. So, deduction complete. Elementary. Not again, not again, not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear that you're gonna have to accompany down to the yard again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so fussy, he's being even stranger than normal. What, you think that's an alibi? You could just have made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all, you've had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But Mystery Bay! Sorry, sir, you get a chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. You horrible Herlock Sholmes! He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, just carriage waiting. Welcome, student Mrs. Naruhodo Esquire! I never imagined being in this position again, but you had to help me! Please! Please! I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your soul later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat, please give him his breakfast for me! Of course. And so, the evil curse, apparently unbroken. Soseki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to incriminating deduction, the great detective. And my dear fellow, the honor belongs to you. Well, at least that means, Inspector Grace is no longer here. We can examine the crimes in more detail now. Yes, that's right. And of course. What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the latter, Mr. Gardev, who discovered Mr. Shakespeare. Ah, Mr. John Gardeb, yes. I expect you could find his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Right, it must remember to go and talk to him later then. Okay, we could examine the crime scene now. Oh, the poor man, so young to die. Do you suppose it's very painful death, being poisoned as he was? I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be born to a better life. Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Do you think that putting our hands together in Japanese prayer will help a British soul? Sorry? I'm not sure I reference the rate for just like, such an occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment. There's quite a spine of the book, isn't there? Okay, I'll just like look through the investigations here for now. Alright, pair of teacups. Has to add it to the court record. Oh, I think you'd be more suited to theater world. Lord, a daimyo or such like. With a con mage top knot, every Japanese man wishes he had a con mage. Oh, you look wonderful, man, and you already have the sword. Can you imagine what happened walking around the streets of London with a con mage and a sword? Oh boy. He's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and he should donate some to the needy. You can suggest it next time you meet. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This is a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that this is district residents pay for gas as they use their coins. Ah, I see. Yes, now you point it out. I can see that there's a slot just here that looks like it will take a coin. So I mean, if you put a coin in here, that's right, that will buy you about 2 hours of gas or lights and heating. So if you're a poor person with no money, you have to sleep in the freezing cold? Yes, so, or if you're scatterbrained with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Thank goodness there's a meter in our office. Yeesh. It's quite the system they got for gas. The window's completely bricked up. A number of the bricks are loose. Oh, it's in soap? It looks as though amateurs broken out view than just here. Was it Mr. Shasura, did I wonder? Being the lodger renting this room, then a person could have gone in through the window. Oh, look at this, Miss Narhoda. On the outside is a little edge. And there's something on it. Soap? What, outside? I guess we have to go outside? Brr, so cold outside, you can feel it through this gap. It did snow all last night. It will be cold. But more importantly, what is on the ledge over there? What are the snow-covered lumps? It's more bars of soap. Soap? What are bars of soap doing lying on the ledge outside the window? I had no idea. But the pair don't look rather charming like that. Still, that's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lying out outside the window? I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here at this soap. Ah, do you see in the middle there? What? There's a patch that's different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only Great Britain. It looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? What? Then you can practice art every single day. I'll think about it. If you promise to don a beard to play the role of the judge. Well, if that'll help you achieve your goal. This I have to say. Alright, new locations are added. I guess we'll go to the guard's room and then the prison. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. We're here because Mr. Guard is the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget. Ah, you chaps, eh? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Guard as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all the business to bail yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to our bally nonsense this morning. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Guard. Yes, I suppose I'd like to know about the dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Crooks' words, weren't they? Guess we're talking to him. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap rises 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail, but at 5:30 this morning he still hadn't lit the gas. So I went down and knocked on his door, but no bally answer. And that's when he broke into his room, kicking out the door. Well, kind of the rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping weren't in such a behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Well, you know, better be safe than sorry and all that. It's just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that was a sorry situation they found at the far side of the door. I mean, didn't you like call out to him? The victim's name is Shakespeare, I believe. Is that correct? Yes, William Shakespeare took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. And how would you describe him? And a word, destitute. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone willing to live in a place like this either broke or has a bally screw loose. It's so hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude. He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Read a few plays at the old bard myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet and all that. You mean Romeo and Juliet. Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, as you know, many of his works have already been translated. It seems incredible that Shakespeare is shortened to Sao, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in this room, actually, weren't there? Of course, there's an awesome scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Shakespeare would have much in common. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo, really, how rude. After Mrs. Nelson's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well, now, it must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavily as I remember, and it could be darkest already. That failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Carter noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy or anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shakespeare got back, and the shop was up until past 1 in the morning, you know. Suppose he met his sense sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything alright, Mrs. Sato? Well, I was just thinking it's so strange, that's all. Mr. Gardev, you're up here in your room all evening if I understood correctly? Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg. Then, how is it that you seem to know? The precise movements of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean? Ah, that's a very good point. I can't imagine that you hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Do you spy on your tenants? Does this automatically spy on his tenants? Is that it? I say, know what you're thinking. It's barely outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I? Then how did you know, Mr. Garden? It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything. Then the gas? Speaking gas? What on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I more or less worked that out. Every room in this building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside, and the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain this. They also light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose will happen? Well, obviously the room will get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, the lights in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why? Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual, and that reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, mightn't it? Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Is that supposed to happen though? It sounds rather undesirable. Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite is also true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they go brighter in the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lights in the room, you could determine what's happening elsewhere. You got it. Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light or put out their lamps and fires. Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights in here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Gardo. Absolutely fascinating. Oh well, nothing to it really. And I can't really see how that is going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Gardo was so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. I just noticed this little thing. What's this? It looks like it's part of an envelope, I think. Gosh, I was so blind I couldn't see that apparently. Yes, I think you may be right. Press was torn off when the letter was open. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of letter, the rest of the envelope in fact, is there? She's right. Okay, I have a freaking envelope. Alright. Looks like you're having a good snoop around, eh? Inspector Gregson been back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fellow in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes time to space to cordon off the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we better be leaving then. Poor Natsume was feeling very low, being back in the cell back so soon. I'm sure she probably go on. What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Ah! What? Out, brief candle, lies but a walking shadow, a poor player. That stirs and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. Now, how sound is the next spot? It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. The life is meaningless, that no one listens to an idiot shouting. Life is but a play that no one cares about. What, Walking Dead! The fellow isn't dead at all? What was that nonsense he was saying though? I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5. I think it was one of the greatest scenes from that play. Shakespeare. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shakespeare, came back to life. It demanded it be indeed been poisoned. It decided that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment, and Inspector Gregson infected us with the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. What the? Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume, arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shanster did consume poison as we deduce. But was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody. You know, in the final act of Macbeth, when Macbeth was doing his soliloquy, he was like talking about how meaningless life was and how he was like thinking about dying or to continue living. He was like considering dying. Like he wasn't at a very good place. So I don't know whether that connects to Shakespeare, but we're gonna have to find out later. I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in cells. Oh, what's this? There's like a guy outside. What's that man doing over there? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mrs. Naruto? Excuse me, can we have a word? Ah! What? And he's gone. He just ran off. I feel sure that I've seen a man somewhere before. Where was it? He was arguing with Shakespeare outside. I do too, but I don't remember. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we have to go to prison speaking Mr. Natsume again. Alright. Look, Mr. Naruto. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? Look, consider Mr. Naruto Esquire! Oh, yes? What is he? Tell me! Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess, you're talking Mr. Sholme? He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost. But his diabolic deductions turn out of this world. They've left me. Ah! Cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you! Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit's due, Ms. Naruto. You're heavily involved in the deduction too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh? The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. Now, in the absolute worst case, he can only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? That's terrible! Oh, I'm stuck in this cell suffering for some silly wrong end of the stick. You did it, didn't you? Confess you're a killer. Why the mustache? Answer questions! I'm sorry to hear that. Are the selfish shyster! Make up your mind, are you dead or alive? If you're gonna come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly, wishy-washy, William! Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shyster is never actually dead in the first place. Ah, yes, that might make sense. I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last. Oh, whoops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met Mr. Shyster, didn't you? I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. Who do you think I am? Please, sir, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear his side of the story. Why am I cursed like this? What happened? Can you tell us exactly what's happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell. But, Mr. Naruto Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that cursed case yesterday. The case that saw Mrs. Green hospitalized. So you did go to the victim's room then? As he feared. I didn't do anything wrong! I've never been to his room before, it's the first time! Then what made you decide to go? I bumped into him and arrived back to the house. We got chatting and developed in a discussion. We had to go out, so I made him farewell. Huh. He met again later that evening at around 9 or just after, and it took him some nice tea I brewed as a gift. Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet, who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate. I think they were both weak in their own ways. I'm sure. Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare! And the debate became very heated, so he slipped poison into Mr. Shaster's tea. No! Never! Not at all! Team Juliet won. That was me. And when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit. I swear it, categorically. Okay. Yeah, I guess Juliet was pretty much stronger than Romeo because, like, after... Yeah, like... No, wait, no. Never mind. I think it was Romeo that, killed himself after saying Juliet did, but... Oh well, I don't really want to debate about Romeo and Juliet. I just think it's a dumb story about dumb teenagers. They're not even teenagers, they're like pre-teens who just freaking... They just prematurely thought about love, I guess. Because the rent is cheap, as the little money spoke to me. Okay, the rent? Yes, it's cheap because the room is cursed. Died there? Oh no, he was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why. Oh my god. But you just decided to live there? But I want books! And books cost money! A horrible history and a small price to pay! When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed a lease like lightning. Brave? Or blinkered? But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible the room's history really was. Gosh, was it really so awful? Oh boy, How did the room's horrible history affect him? It's not so what happened. At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring to my back, watching me. Do you think that might have been your mind playing tricks on you? No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place. A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who died in the room, I lean over and say, "But try to stick on me!" That really is horrible. And, now that I come to think of it, happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shasta was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocating silently by this miserable spirits in my room. You simply must move out of the room as soon as possible. Yes, you're right, I know it, and that's why. I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home. I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself might become history. Phew. Susana knows how to make the man listen. Of course. Mr. Lord at the manor is worried about the curse in my room as well. You mean Mr. Garden? Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again. Well, that's true. I for one wouldn't go near the place. Ah, perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to gas lamps and tennis movements. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in pipes. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his rooms. What do you mean he pays so much attention to gas lamps? Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with me. You must not to me. Please forget I said anything. Oh, now I talk about me behind my back as well. What's important is that Mr. Shansbury isn't infected at all. Once he's come around, he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. Inspector Gregson? I have some good news and some bad news. Oh, which do you want first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well in that case, the good news it is. Huh? Sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. Then why'd you ask me my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shakespeare, was just unconscious. He's come round now. Yes, we saw it happen in his terrifying glory. Oh, oops. He's being treated by doctors. Managed to get a written statement from him already. Oh, is that wonderful, Mr. Natsume? I feel like he's accusing you. Oh, thank goodness it's all over then. I could leave the somber cell. Sorry, no, that's not in the cards. What? Why ever not, Inspector? Mr. Shakespeare has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear, you don't mean... I'm sorry to say I do, yes, he's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume. Arrgh! By sweet poison did he seek us to end my life? That wicked captive, Soseki Natsume. No, so I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. No! No! Oh my god. And so, once again, Soseki's now found himself having to take the dog in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day I would represent him in court and do my utmost to break the curse that bited him. To be continued! Alright guys, I think that'll be it for part 4 of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Chronicles Resolve. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess next time we'll be in court. Bye-bye!